I guess we're going to see soon enough, and we are entering the game with the gods for Frost, Loki, Oranos, and Isis, and for Absolats, Loki, Odin, Loki. So I would be kind of guessing that it's actually Absolat's map, really, with the lineup of the gods, those triple Norse. This is definitely a map for Norse quite nicely. And, well, we'll see how they are going to utilize the features of this map. For those who don't know it from, for example, last season's, I think it was finals and third place match. It's basically similar to Midgard, but with the difference that you have not the water around the island, but a whole lot of ice, which means that it's very hard to wall up, basically impossible to wall from the back, and also the gold mines, well, not really those, but those extra big mines are very close to the ice as well, so very easily raidable, and overall really hard map to play any kind of turtly strategy on. Definitely favorable for Oranosis, some kind of Norse or whatever. So the first we have a look at is right now Patroclus at the bottom, who is finding his early hunt quite nicely, very close to the base, just behind the stragglers, and he definitely has to hope that there is a bit of a tree line, because without that he will be having a harder time walling up, and even though I have just said that it's hard to wall, you can wall at least in the forefront and basically limit the ways by which the opponent can actually go into your base. So he has discovered some extra gold on the left together with the berries, so he knows where there's a bit of a resources, and there is a bit of wood in the forefront as well. And fortunately for him, it seems like that he might be able to wall up, but looking at those two bears here, probably not that easy as he would have hoped at the very beginning. His front EC is also kind of far away from him, I would have to say. Not really close, so I wouldn't be all that happy about it if I were him. Yeah, that's really quite far away and wide open expanse, so really is going to be very easy for his opponent to raid. But let's have a look at the pocket for his team. That's going to be Swiss Boy, who is so far gathering a bit of a gold, bit of a foot at the very back, and having some decent placement of the wood line, I have to say, which will allow him some kind of limited walling right about here and on the right side, and especially in the forefront. So he will be open just from the back, but he has a very nicely positioned tower, which is going to help him defend exactly this route into his base quite nicely, and is also very close to the gold. So really, I have to say, the spawn of his map is quite nice for him. Better infantry heck armor, which is of course pretty great once it's right next to Loki. So yeah, he will definitely be liking this kind of relic. And this could actually make quite a lot of difference in the fight. Even though it's just 5%, and he's going to go for heavy heresiers, will make quite a lot of difference, especially fighting against other Loki or literally other Norse from his opponent. So yeah, let's see how much of a difference it will make. Cheaper armory research costs, not bad, definitely going to help, and we can see, oh, double spy. Well, both of these spies from Raisin and Ayak are already on the red player, so it seems like that Morstyle will be in for a bit of a tough game, as he will be raided all around. And I'm not really expecting a calm game for him due to this. Otherwise, he's already going to be under heavy attack from Kiludai, who is building an offensive temple right on his doorstep. So yeah, this is definitely confirming what's going to happen here. And I wouldn't really put it behind Ayak, or rather behind our Absolats, to actually go for some fun strategy, like some kind of Heimdall rush, as we have seen against them from AOL in the finals. Spy from Frost is cast on Kiliudai, so he will be also raided. Which could somehow alleviate the pressure, but I'm kind of thinking that Frost will be happy if they can actually defend against what's happening in their home bases first. We can see that Morstyle is doing a pretty good job and a pretty clever idea going for the Frost first, because if you know the map, you know that there's a lot of goats all around, and it definitely pays off to go there as soon as possible to gather those goats for potential problems in gathering later. Looking at his base, he's wide open, literally at all sides. Just in the forefront he can build some kind of walls, but really not really all that much, so he will be very open and very vulnerable overall. The pocket for Absolats is Ayach, and he's just about finishing with the Caribous here, and he will be moving somewhere else, which I'm not sure where it's going to be. He's still having one Caribou here, probably doesn't know about it, but he will be, I would be guessing, moving in here, because they will be quite aggressive and they will be the ones applying the pressure. You can also see that another temple has been built by Trazen right next to the blue player, so that's super offensive play. Let's see the advances. Heimdall 78%. He hit another Heimdall 54%. A Heimdall for Kiludai right now. Okay, so it's a triple Heimdall rush, quite definitely. Quite definitely triple Heimdall rush, and unfortunately for the red player, he's already having a hard time building second dog, which is unfortunate as he's a Loki. And well, he is attempting to help his teammate, but it might be just a bit too late, with one Heimdall undermine already being cast and two are going to be incoming very soon. So Raizen is already in the place, yet another yet another one, and it's going to be the third one. And okay, all the Hersters are in the place here, so goodbye TC, there's not going to be anything that you can do about it. Unfortunately, they weren't fast enough to actually take the TC down before he advanced into the classical age, so that's at least some small victory for more style, and he could be able to rebuild somewhere, because with the H advantage, or the H advantage, with at least being in the classical age, he will have some kind of semblance of an idea what to do, because he will be able to build the counter barracks and help his allies defend. Without that, he would be pretty much dead, and yeah, that would be it. Kinda thinking he should be retreating, because he needs to keep those guys alive, as those guys will allow him to see where he's gathering food or other resources. And I'm not exactly sure if it's the cleverest idea to kill them, because really they need to apply pressure, and even though they are applying as strong pressure as they can right now, with the towers right now being researched, it could not be really all that long lasting, especially if Patroclus is going to be able to help. So far though, he is building in here, just now finishing with barracks, or rather starting with barracks, which is way too late, and I'm not exactly sure if he's going to advance even into the next stage before the game is decided. Because obviously more style, even though he has the military buildings, he doesn't have the population limit. Towers are brought down just about now at the same time, and really he's pretty much toast, because even though he can hide in his house, it's going to be just a temporary measure and not anything that will save him, as obviously really dead. Another one. Yeah, he's hiding in the manor, but really looking at the armies, that's not going to be any kind of problem. But looking at Swiss boys, Heresiers is actually getting quite some numbers, and if he could be lucky with some mythical spawns, it might help him. Even though he is finding quite a lot of Heresiers, still the tankiness of the myth units could help him quite immensely, especially with at least this tower being here. But exactly the opposite is happening with Ayak, getting a pretty good spawn of Valkyrie, which is pretty strong in the classical age, and definitely is going to help him solidify the position on the map. Kiludai is helping with some extra raiding cavalry, which is definitely a good idea, as he's probably going to go for a bit of raiding on somebody else. He's at least getting into the back, because more style, unfortunately for him, hasn't been able to finish with the wall-in. And well, this is kinda well, I wouldn't call it decided yet, because if you see all those yellow thingies everywhere, he's just trying to make sure that he knows what's happening. He's gathering quite a lot of gold, and he's basically not having any kind of problems going for armory. But even though he might be getting ancestors into the battle, they might not be all that useful because of all those Heresiers from literally everybody in the battlefield. More style at least trying to do something to protect his Phillies with some walling in here, which I'm not exactly sure if it's even worth it. He's going to die anyway, so it's like wasting resources that he could have potentially used to something else, but not exactly sure what. Because does he have some villages somewhere? Having just those oracles absolutely everywhere. One village in here. No villagers here. Is somebody retreating somewhere? This is just a goat. So, okay, this is the last Mohican. Oh, this one. Okay, so the last two villagers are in here, and they are going to be dead in just a matter of moments, which should result in a bit of a auto-resign, but not before. Morstyle is actually able to amass a bit of an army of Murmilos, which might be able to do something if the coordination with his teammate is going to be strong enough. Swiss boy is so far doing a pretty great job in kinda stalling what is going to happen, and with Patroclus having some barracks ready just on the doorstep, he might be just good enough to do enough with Swiss boy to stop the attack here. At the same time, we have to look into the middle where Raizen is having his buildings, and he's kinda stopping. Oh, some idols, that's unfortunate, especially when they need all the resources that they can get. And if Raizen could be switching here on the left fast enough, he could be also killing the Pharaoh, which would put a pretty strong dent into the plan of Frost to come back into the game. So, we see some kind of reasonable army from Patroclus right now, and he definitely needs some mythical spawns, and I'm talking about lots, because without the mythical spawns they will be in a tough situation, and might be actually heading into some kind of middle game that they weren't expecting. They were probably expecting that the game will be decided without any kind of problems. Looking at red dots, it seems like that the villages are already dead, which also means that more style is basically dead overall. He's having just, what? 3 Murmillos together with those 3 oracles placed around the map, so that's basically what he has left with the mill. And, well, yeah, you can basically say that this is right now 3 versus 2 and should be resulting into pretty much clear victory for Absolats, but let's not be hasty because Patroclus is an Isis, and we all know how Isis can be strong. If she is boomed without any kind of problem. But look at how he's still at 1 TCs, not really any 2 TCs. It's not going to be strong enough to make up for the miss in one player, I kinda think. So let's see how long will this Frost team be able to actually last in the game. I've kinda seen some comments that it's kinda lame winning. No, actually I wouldn't say so, it's just good strategy. The possibility is in the game, you can play the same if you're the opponent, and if you don't, and you kinda hope that you can win without any kind of preparation, well, there's also the possibility that you're not, and you're going to lose quite easily. There's also other strategies like Triple Ra that can shift incense into your base with pretty brutal army, and there are really multiple strategies that are pretty strong, but not everyone really uses them, and usually you see players just playing the same ult and then getting surprised when somebody thinks something new. So the advance of the army from Absolats is pretty strong in the middle, so it shouldn't be any kind of problem. Especially the switch into raiding cavalry is pretty good, because it's kinda countering those X-Men, even though not fully, as for obviously for that would be better those throwing X-Men, which are exactly making an appearance from Ayak, and right now this should be pretty much it, because with the different army, it would be very easy for Lutz to get rid of absolutely everything that Patroclus together with Swissboy can muster, and I don't see a chance for Frost to unfortunately come back into this game. So they will be definitely hoping that they can somehow mentally tire their opponents for the second game, where they will be having a much better chance of making something happen. But looking at the experience with this game, they might not be all that interested in playing some kind of land map as well, like Marsh probably. So we might be seeing maybe Medit, not exactly sure, but also we have to keep in mind that Frost don't really have the civilizations for a pretty strong Zeus Medit, because they are also much more interested in some aggressive play like their opponents. So Neftis is here, so are we going to see the ancestors sometime soon? It seems like that Swissboy together with Patroclus are just waiting for the correct moment in here. With Kiludai, of course, quite a bit earlier, taking the home base TC from Morstyle, who is just now reduced to... Oh, he actually still has all those all those Murmillos, and he's still attempting to raid. Well, that's a pretty great game. But look at how he actually doesn't need to worry about literally anything else than then just getting, or rather controlling those 3 Murmillos. Well, that's a bit of a micro battle, and kind of like Dota or League of Legends right now for him. So let's see how good he will be. And he has actually been able to keep alive Willy, and he's rebuilding a settlement. Well, that's a huge surprise. I actually didn't catch that. And well, if he did that a lot sooner, he might have actually done something. Well, that's a Njord coming in, but unfortunately for blue, I kinda think it's not going to be enough. Especially, or especially, the ancestors are going to be defensive. Are they actually being cast here? Yeah, they were cast a bit farther to the south, rather to the north. So okay, that's a pretty good placement, as they will be exactly at the right spot to take advantage of this healing spring, and especially go into all those throwing X-Men, which could be turning the tables around, but not really all that much. As you can see that medium raiding cavalry, or rather medium raider, is already in from Kiliudai. The TC is pretty much dead, and Njord is not going to be researched here. Yeah, unfortunately for Swissboy, he will be dropped to 0 TCs, as as Morstyle has just finished hers, rather his. And well, right now, probably Ryzen has seen that the TC is up, but unfortunately it's a bit late, and Absolats have been able to close the game. That was decided a lot earlier, but still Frost did put up the effort. Do not give up all too soon. So pretty nice strategy, and commandingly played by the champions Absolats. So GG. Have a look at the post game, where we will see just the Kiliudai was the one who was having the most score with Ayak and Raisin not really far behind, as this was pretty much all up to them. With More Style, unfortunately, not even crossing the 500 points, but there was not really much that he could have done about it. It's just all too easy to kill the town centers from Atlanteans with triple Heimdall Rush. Yeah, Raisin, very nice military count and units killed. Not bad at all. And actually More Style is having an equal, so that's it. That's actually pretty decent considering his situation. Well, nicely and easily played by the Absoluts. Okay, GG then.